Hello, welcome to our UCE math practice, and today we are talking quadratic equations. Please, these are the numbers we're going to look at. We are going to focus on quadratic equations of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to a 0. Sometimes this can be a 1, so you can as well find the quadratic equations in this form here. Please always note these are the coefficient. This is the coefficient of x. In case we have a minus sign, then it means that number, the coefficient of x, is a negative number. Also here, in case we have a negative number, that means the constant is a negative constant. Many times this is positive, but yes, it can also be negative. So let's go into the questions. Feel free to pause and try the numbers so that you have some answers to look at. So let's go through the questions. Question 1, we are being told to form a quadratic equation in x. So that means our x must be the unknown, whose roots are -3 and a quarter. Now the roots of a quadratic equation are the answers. They are the values for the unknown. So in this case, since our unknown is x, we're going to say that means our x should equal to -3, or x should equal to a quarter. These two are the values. And so when you want to form this quadratic equation, we are going to work backwards. We are going to work backwards. So let's see how we work backwards. When I take this 3 to this side, I can write x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now when I look at this, since this is a fraction, usually it is not easy to deal with fractions. So before I move the term, allow me to put this so that I can cross multiply, and I write this as 4x is equal to 1, 4 times x. And now I can comfortably move my 1 to the other side so that I write 4x minus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so that's what we have. Now, if this term here is 0 and this term is 0, that means we can use the idea that even when we multiply the two terms, now I want to put brackets so that I can multiply the two terms easily. That means that even when I multiply the two terms, still their product must be a 0. That's the very idea behind solving quadratic equations by factorization method. If you multiply two numbers, think of this like it's a number times another number, and you're getting a 0, since the two numbers are equaling to 0. Now, opening brackets, when I multiply this, I have 4x squared. When I multiply it again, I have minus x. That's the first part. Then I go to this part, positive 3 times this, positive 12x. Then positive 3 times this, minus 3 is equal to 0. That's what we have. And now looking at these two are like terms, minus x and then the positive 12x. So I can write my answer as 4x squared minus 1 plus 12 gives me positive 11. So I'll write positive 11x minus 3 is equal to 0. And so in that case, that's our quadratic equation there. The question asks us to find. In question 2, yes, they are now telling us to work out the answers, the roots, the values. And so here we are supposed to work out. Look at this. Somehow they have put a 2 outside here, and we have brackets, and we have a 5 plus x. Remember at the start, we said that the equation should be in this form here. Before we solve, you should rearrange it so that you have all these terms equaling to 0. The number of methods allow me to, when I'm solving this, I want to use a factorization method. Feel free to look at and use any other methods that we can use. So when I multiply, I have 2x squared. When I multiply plus 8x plus 8, that is a 2 times 4. This should equal to 5 plus x. And now in my next step, I want to put like terms together, this and this, and then this and this. So I have 2x squared. Now when this x comes to this side, definitely it becomes minus. So I'll write this as plus 7x because I've taken away this one here. Then this is 8, 5 crosses equal signs, it becomes minus 5. 8 take away 5, I stay with positive 3. And everything has been taken to the other side. So we have a 0 here. Okay, now I want to use sum and product. And when I look at this, remember we already said that this middle term is our sum. Okay, so we have a positive number 7. And then our product is when you multiply these two, the coefficient of x squared and the constant here. So when I multiply these two, 2 times positive 3, I have my product as a 6. Oh, yes, factors of 6 that can give us a 7. This one is a little bit easy. 1 times 6, and then 1 plus 6. Okay. When we have a bigger number, please feel free to write more factors of this product and then use them. So when I get this, I will expand this into 2. The middle term, I expand this into 2. Let's see how do we expand it. So we write 2x squared. Now instead of saying positive 7x, I'll expand it into plus x plus 6x. Okay, this is a 1x. I don't need to put here 1. It is already 1x. Then plus a 3 is equal to 0. And whenever we have 4 terms, we can relate these two, and we also relate these two. Now what do? We are supposed to factorize out the common term. Now here I see 2x squared. This is x. So that means the two terms do have x as a common term. I open brackets. A term times x gives me 2x squared. That is 2x. Okay. When I multiply this, I go back to this. And now since I already have x here, I will simply say plus a 1. X times positive 1, I get positive x here. Now, the moment I've got my factors here properly, and I get this, I can even go ahead and write it down because I'm very sure that this is what I should get even in the second bracket, what I have here. Okay, now the only thing I need to think about is a number, so that when I multiply it by this, I will be able to get a positive 6x, a positive 6, and since this is a 2, that number is plus a 3. Positive 3 times 2x, positive 6x, and obviously even this last part will come out. Positive 3 times positive 1, positive 3. This is equal to 0. Okay, and now given this is common here and here, when we are using factorization method, every time something is common, we write it down, we open a new bracket. So in the new bracket, what should I put? I have x there, and then this positive 3, this is equal to a 0. Okay, and now remember, we said that the moment you multiply two numbers and they give you a 0, that means either this number here, 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, or if this number is not 0, then the x plus 3 should be a 0. That's the idea behind solving a quadratic equation by factorization method. And now that we have two equations, we are going to continue and solve. From the first one, take this one to this side, 0 minus 1, 2x is equal to minus 1, divide by 2 by 2. Our x should be negative a half. That is the first answer. And from this one, when I take 3 to this side, 0 take away 3 gives me negative 3. So that is our second answer. All right. Question 3. Question 3 still says solve the quadratic equation. And then this is our quadratic equation already arranged in a nice form. So I want to use a factorization method. Feel free to use any other methods that you know. So from the equation, I'll go straight away to reading my sum. Remember, we say that the sum is the coefficient of x here. So our sum is negative 3. Okay, and then our product in this case is these two here, times the constant here. Now our constant here is negative 20. Remember we said the moment we have a minus sign, the minus is on the coefficient. In this case, this is our constant here. It's negative 20 times 2. I have negative 40. Okay, two numbers so that when I multiply, I get negative 40. And when I add, I get negative 3. This is a negative 3 right here. Let me make that look better. We have a negative 3 here as our sum from this. Okay, so I write down the factors of 40. That's the easiest way of getting those two numbers. 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 3, no, 4 times 10, 5, yes, 5 times 8, this is an 8. Okay, and that's it. So when I look at a 3, which numbers can I pair to give me a 3? The pair is right here, 5 and 8. But now we need to attach signs. How do we attach signs? Since the number here must be a negative number, that means here the bigger number is the one which is supposed to be negative. Okay, so that when I add that 2, I'll stay with the minus. Okay, so clear the two numbers are 5 times negative 8 and 5 plus negative 8. Feel free to write it as negative 8 plus 5. That one has no problem. Even here you can say negative 8 times 5. It's the same thing. Now that we have our two numbers, we're going to expand this middle part here. So I'll write 2x squared. Now instead of saying minus 3x, I want to put there minus 8x plus 5x. Also, this idea of starting with a negative number is just to help me separate the negative signs. Feel free. You can as well say 5x first, minus 8x. It's the same thing. Okay, then minus 20. This should give us a 0. When that is done, I pair two terms, these two terms here. I know that 2 is a factor of 8. Okay, so 2 is common. I write it down. Then I have x and x, so I also write x down. Then in the brackets, I'll write x, so that when I multiply by this, I go back to this. Then minus, since I already have here 2, I just need a 4. So that when I say 2x times minus 4, I get minus 8x. And remember I said that the moment you get this first bracket, it is a sure deal that it must be what we have in the second bracket. And the only thing we need to think of is a number, so that when you multiply it by this, we get positive 5x here. And that number is positive 5. Please do not forget the sign, positive 5, because this sign is very important as well. This is equal to 0. This one automatically, you see it is coming out. Positive 5 times negative 4, negative 20 there. So this is common here and here. So see, I'll factorize it out. And then I open a new bracket. Here I have 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, and from here, since we are multiplying two numbers and we are getting a 0, that means either this number here, x minus 4, is equal to 0, or if this is not a 0, then 2x plus 5 is equal to a 0. And from there, taking 4 to this side, x should equal to, this turns out to be positive 0 plus 4, gives us a 4 as one of our answers. From here, take this positive 5 to this side. When it crosses equal signs, it becomes 0 minus 5. We have a minus 5. Divide on both sides by 2. Our x is equal to minus 5 out of a 2. Feel free to write that as a mixed number or a decimal number. That improper fraction is good enough. Minus 5 out of 2. Those are the two values of x. All right. Yes, the unknown mainly we use for quadratic equations is x, but we can also use any other letter. Don't say how comes we have x. Okay, so even this one, it is in terms of x. It says solve the equation, x is equal to this. So it means we need to work out and get the values of x, the roots of this quadratic equation. And now to see this quadratic equation clearly, we need to rearrange. So I can put that out of 1. I can cross multiply, so that when I cross multiply 2 times this, I can write 2x is equal to 1 times this 15 minus x squared. Now I want you to rearrange this so that I write it in this form here. It is always easy when you look at the quadratic equation in this form with 0 on one side. And so since my term here, the one with power 2, okay, the power 2 term, which makes this equation to be quadratic, and it warns us that we must get two answers. Since it's negative, let me take it to this side so that it turns out to be positive x. Now I want to write starting with it. Then this term here is positive 2x, and then when I also take my 15 to the other side, it becomes minus 15 is equal to 0. Okay, nothing is left on that side. And when that is done, then I need to look for my sum and then the product. I said I'll use factorization method. So the sum is the coefficient of x right here, which is a positive 2. And then since this is 1, our the coefficient of x squared is 1. I don't need to worry about it. So my product will only be the constant here. 1 times negative 15, say negative 15. Let me write that one in a better way. Okay, negative 15. 5 here. Factors of 15, these ones are very few. 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Okay, and so there's no way this can give us a 2, but instead we can use this. And since this is a positive number and this is a negative, then one of the numbers here must be negative. And given the sum is a positive number, then I'll make the smaller number to be negative. And clearly when you do negative 3 times 5, negative 15, negative 3 plus 5, you get a positive 2. Let's come here and break this down. So we can write x squared minus 3x plus 5x. Okay, this is still the same as this. That's very important. Minus 15 is equal to 0. We have our 4 nice terms. We can pair the 4 terms, and we can also pair these two. X squared and 3x, they only have x as their common term, so I need an x so that when I multiply, brackets mean multiplication, I go back to this, minus a 3 there. Okay, the moment I get this, I can comfortably rewrite it again here. I write it down here, and then the only thing I think about is the number to put here. Okay, and the number to put here times this to give me 5x. It is a positive 5. Do not forget the sign. And since this is common, it is here and here, then I should also factorize it out, bring new bracket, then I'll need this term here x, and I also have this term here which is 5, positive 5. Positive 5 is equal to 0, and since two numbers are being multiplied and they give us a 0, that means either this number is equal to a 0, or if this number is not a 0, then this x plus 5 should equal to a 0. And from there, I believe we can see the values of x. Take the minus 3 to this side, becomes 0 plus 3. Our x is equal to a 3. That is one of our answers. Take positive 5 to this side, it becomes minus, and 0 minus 5 is negative 5 still. That is our other answer. I hope you're enjoying this. Well, let's see our last question in this video here. Please, there is another video with hard numbers, so do not stop at this one. Here, the way the equation is given, clearly I can see there is nothing I can put away, but instead my first step can be the cross multiplication step. Since I have very many terms at each point, I can put this in brackets. Brackets will guide us on the multiplication step. So I need to multiply this by this. Let me write that as my first step here. 2x plus 5 times x minus 1 is equal to, now this times this, 3 into x plus 1. That should be my first step. And so I'm going to do the multiplication, this times this, and then times this. So this times that, 2, I get 2x squared and then 2x times this, I get minus 2x. And when I'm done with that first term, I also use the second term. The second term is positive 5 times this, and positive 5 times that. So here we have positive 5x, and here we have minus 5 is equal to, on this side, 3x, and then plus a 3, opening brackets. I believe that is easy. So putting like terms together here, I can see a 2x and a 5x. This is like saying minus 2 books plus 5 books. It's like saying you have 5 books, take away 2. So it is always better to write it down in a simplified format that you stay with 3 books. Minus 5 is equal to 3x plus a 3. And now whenever I see that, oh, the highest power of the unknown is a 2, then I need to write it in a quadratic form, equation form. So I'll bring this to this side. Oh, this is going to disappear, because when it comes to this side, it is turning into a minus 3x. See that? And here I have minus 5. Then I can bring this to this side. I can write it, since it is crossing equal signs, minus 3 is equal to now 0. Oh, but good enough. Now this middle term is disappearing, and then we have that 2x squared minus 5 minus 3 is minus 8 is equal to 0. Oh, so this is a nice quadratic equation. It has no middle term. Okay, it only has the part for with x squared and then the constant. And when you look at this, we can solve it in a number of ways. I'll just talk about them. From here, since I do not have an x term, I can decide to move this term to the other side, this minus 8 to this side. So I can write my 2x squared is equal to 0 plus 8, because here it is minus, it turns into 8. Divide on both sides by 2. By 2, our x squared should equal to 4. And from here, I can enjoy taking the square root. And so my final answer should be x is equal to, since I'm taking square root of 4, please, this can be a positive or a minus 2. So these are the two answers. The answers are positive 2 or negative 2 there. Okay? And say, for example, I had this step. Someone else can be interested in using a factorization method. Yes, I can put here this alternative method here, that in case I'm to factorize, I can as well write this as 2 into x squared minus 8 is equal to 0, because 2, oh sorry, this must be a 4. I have put a 2 out here, so 2 times 4 gives me the 8. And now when I look at the brackets, x squared minus 4 is a square number, and then we can use a difference of 2 squares. So 2 into x minus 2 into x plus 2 should equal to 0. I have simply applied the difference of 2 squares here, since this is x squared minus 2 squared here, and I can factorize that in this form. And now we have 3 factors, but we know that this cannot be a 0, it is a 2. So since this cannot be a 0, that means either this x minus 2 should equal to 0, which gives us the positive answer, or x plus 2 is equal to 0, which gives us a negative answer. Thank you for your time. More is coming.